Hey everybody, how's it going? Back with another one. And in today's video, I'm going to cover topics specifically regarding why having an ego is actually beneficial when you're first starting your business, right? And if you don't know who I am, I'm Chris Hernandez. I'm a 19-year-old entrepreneur. I run my own digital ad agency, and we specifically help ecom brands who are doing roughly around 5 to 10K in revenue per month with their business. We help them scale to over 6 figures using paid traffic. So, regarding specifically why having an ego is so beneficial, right? When you're first starting out, you got to understand there's a lot of limiting beliefs you may have and you may not even know it. It's just some of these lessons and morals and just principles we've been passed on from generation to generation to generation. So depending on who you are as a person is really depends on where you grew up, who were you around, how was the family life around when you were growing up, and overall what was the community like, and you obtain certain principles, you obtain certain characteristics to ultimately form your identity. So going into business, right, you're going in with this identity of all your past experiences, right? And then when it comes time to try something new, specifically business, starting from zero and investing in that time, you need to have that edge to almost rewire your brain and get rid of all the previous principles that were installed in us, typically from school. And with that being said, right, some of the key principles that are many of people in society are brainwashed is that thinking that college is going to be beneficial and it's going to get them a secure job when they graduate. I think just looking at what just happened in the recent year with the whole pandemic and the whole COVID situation, you saw a lot of people who were at companies working there for 10, 20 years and they got laid off because of what happened with the economy. So in this life, nothing's guaranteed except death and taxes. And I think it's wise for you to take the leap and to invest in business and to almost have an ego when it comes to business, right? And I want to formulate like this, right? Because although what I really mean when it comes to having an ego in business when you're first starting out is basically confidence. You need to have confidence in yourself, and you need to understand the vision and why you want to get into business, right? When I first got started, right, I looked at it, I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom to do whatever, whenever I wanted. And with that being said, right, growing up, I played sports. I played soccer all my life, so I was super competitive, and I was one of the best players when I played soccer at that time. And ideally, the same thing there transitioned to when it's time for me to focus on business, that same mentality transitioned, that ambition, that drive transitioned over. And for me personally, right, I just have a sheer amount of just straight confidence, knowing I know my self-worth, I know what I'm capable of, and overall I know what I was able to do in my past. So overall, my confidence, I already went in knowing that I was going to be great, and I knew that I wanted to be the best, and I'm aiming to that. I want to be the best marketer. I want to be the best entrepreneur out there. I want to take risks. I want to take calculated risks, but also I want to not regret anything when it comes time to starting a business. So ideally, right, for me, I made my first initial investment, got into investing in a course from a mentor of mine, watching his YouTube content, and then exactly when I did that, I realized that there was a lot of self-limiting beliefs I had, right? Didn't have enough money at the time and was broke, but understood that this is the risk I needed to take in order to fund me to that next step. And when I made the investment, it pushed me to become a higher person, a higher quality version of myself when I say that. So what do I mean by having an ego? Well, you need to have a sheer amount of just self-confidence that when you're first getting started, let's say things aren't going your way, things aren't moving for you, right? And then let's say you quit your job or you quit school to try this and go all in, right? And let's say you're living with your parents, you hear stuff from your parents. Let's say you have your friends, they're doubting you. You have family friends, they're doubting you because you're not going to school, you're not following the traditional routes, right? Having that sheer just self-confidence is just able to just drive out all the noise and just pushes you just to drive forward and just keep going day by day by day. So with that being said, right, having an ego, that's what I mean by having an ego. It's just having sheer just nothing but self-confidence and just self-belief in yourself and your vision when you're first getting started, where you're starting from zero, you're starting from the ground, And there's only one way to go, and that's really up when you're starting from zero. The only way to go is just up. And if you take that into account, and before you even get started, right, you make a deal with yourself, and you map out your vision. You map out where you want to be 10 years from now, and you realize what actions you need to, like, lay out actions. Like, what actions do you need to take in order to get to that next level? And overall, man, just having self-confidence and just pushing out all the negative energy, and just having that self-belief in yourself when people are telling you you're not going to make it, and then you have that vision, you see that vision of yourself just having financial freedom, having over 6 figures in the bank account when you open up your app, having that luxury freedom, having that's the stuff that really motivates myself. So when I'm saying this, it's like I'm reiterating why having an ego is important, right? And that's what I mean overall. Because you necessarily, right, when you live your life, you don't want to typically use an ego as a power to cause your actions to do what you do as an individual during certain events, during situations, right? It's always important to have a calculated mindset, having a calculated, always thinking with logic, and also knowing that there's no good. There's really, I want to frame this, but I don't want to go on a tangent, but it seems like I'm going on a tangent. But there's no good and there's no bad. It's either, like, literally, life is just situations, right? And our mind is programmed to make them believe whether they're good or bad. The event in itself is just a part of the experience that we're all living in, literally. So look at that across the board in your life, right? Let's say something bad happens to you, right? For whatever reason, you may deem it as bad because it affects you, but ultimately it could have been it's just the event. The event just happened, and our mindset and our logic puts value to that, and it creates like a story which causes us to believe whether it's positive or negative. So the same thing applies here, right? With the ego, you just really, what I'm trying to get to is you just need to have sheer just self-confidence before you get started in yourself, and you have that vision there, and you understand what you need to do to get there. Once you have that, I mean, there's really nothing left. You just take that sheer drive, that sheer self-confidence, and that vision, and you just vision yourself just having, let's say you're into watches, let's say you vision yourself having a Rolex. That's what I envision myself. I envision myself having like a 30-40K Rolex and having a house in Costa Rica. So that's what I'm thinking so far. That's the vision I have for myself, right? And getting started, you're just gonna have a lot of doubt. You're not gonna know what you don't know. And if you just go in with just self-confidence, I mean, that's just going to push you further. Nobody's going to tell you anything, and you're just going to put your head down and just work. That's really all. That's the key to it, to scale a business from 0 to 10K, 0 to 100K. In a year, people can literally make 6 figures in a year if they go all in and just eliminate doubt and just have sheer confidence in themselves. And also, I'm a heavy avid music listener, and I follow the rap game, of course, and you have guys like, I'm gonna shout him out, Russ. I listen to Russ a lot too. If you look at his interviews, he's a rapper, and it's just, look at his sheer confidence, because his story is crazy, because he was making beats, making music for about 10 years, and really put out like a song a week, and then made a ton of content, didn't see anything until like 5 years later. So it's that sheer, just like I said, putting your head down, putting that work in, and knowing what the outcome's going to be before it even happens. That's the separation. That's what's ultimately the difference between an entrepreneur and like an average person. It's just having that mindset shift, and you have to work on your mindset, because what struggled with me is that you have to understand that there's a lot of opportunities out there on the internet, especially. There's a lot of abundance. There's a lot of opportunities. And if you're a service-based business, there's clients everywhere. So keep that in mind and understand, guys, like I said, go into it and just have nothing but sheer self-confidence, honestly, in yourself, because you're the only person you can depend on in this life. You can't depend on anyone else. So you have to trust and put that faith in yourself that you're going to get to where you want to get. And then just look at it as, take it day by day, and then just focus on what you need to accomplish. So that's really all I have for you guys. Sorry if I went on a tangent, rambling a little bit, but that's what I mean by having an ego and why it's important, especially in business when you're first getting started.